Well, the Kyrie saga has officially ended in Brooklyn.
Unbelievable.
The Brooklyn Nets have traded away Kyrie Irving pretty quickly, along with, I believe, Markieff Morris to the Dallas Mavericks in exchange for 2 players and 3 picks. Those 2 players are Spencer Dinwiddie and Dorian Finney-Smith, along with a few other picks, which you could see on screen now if you're watching it on YouTube. Also, a 2027 second-round pick and a 2029 first-round pick that's unprotected, and a 2029 second-round pick. Those are your trade conditions. So I'm going to ask you, how would you grade this trade on the Nets side and on the Mavericks side?
Well, I would say the Mavericks got the better end of the deal from a athletic standpoint. I think the mental part of it, Kyrie Irving is so unpredictable. No one knows what he's going to do. So that's a high risk for them. But in terms of what they gave up, I don't think they gave up that much to get him. It doesn't look like that badly to me. The first round pick is 2029. Come on, that's way off into the future. This is only 2023. That's 6 years from now, right? So who knows what that first round pick will be worth? They might be the champions that year. Nobody knows, right? And the others are second rounders, and in the NBA, the second round there aren't that many great players that come out of the second round, right? Spencer Dinwiddie's a pretty good player, but I don't know about Markieff Morris, whether he was good or not. I've heard of him, but I don't know what his stats are.
This year, he's averaging 3.6 points, 2.2 rebounds, and under 1 assist per game.
And Dorian Finney-Smith?
He's 9'4", 9'5", and 1.
Yeah, okay, so maybe they did a little better with him.
Spencer Dinwiddie is 17, 3, and 5.
Spencer Dinwiddie, the Nets are happy to get him back.
I would say so.
He played well for them when he was there before. So I'd say on the athletic side, the Mavs did better on that trade in terms of what they gave up to get a superstar player. But the Nets, I think they were wise to get rid of him. And I think it'd be better for their team chemistry. And I don't know what's going to happen at the Mavs when Kyrie Irving and Luka get going there. I think there may be some jealousy on Kyrie's part. Luka seems to be quite a team-oriented guy and a nice guy. I don't know. We'll see what Kyrie Irving does to the Mavs. He's capable of disrupting him, I think.
That's the problem. So on the Mavs side, A to F, what would you give the Mavericks getting Kyrie and Markieff and giving up all those players? What would you give them acquiring Kyrie and Markieff? The trade for them.
Give it a B+, just because of Kyrie's unpredictability.
And the Nets got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, 2 second-round picks and 1 first-round pick unprotected. What would you give them for a letter grade?
Give them a B.
Okay. So you think the Mavs barely won that trade?
Yeah.
Interesting. And also, what's pretty interesting about this is this trade hasn't officially gone through.
Oh.
So right now, technically, Kyrie to the Mavs is done. That's the trade that's going to go through. It's going to be mostly finalized by tonight, probably. But there was a report about an hour ago that says that a third team could come into play. And this is by JPA Basketball, who I trust a lot on Instagram, who said, quote, among the possibilities for expanding the Kyrie Irving to Dallas trade before this evening's scheduled trade call, league sources say that Brooklyn has explored the feasibility of packaging Spencer Dinwiddie and draft capital to Toronto in an attempt to acquire Fred VanVleet. Which that would be Fred VanVleet is a very, very good player.
I don't think Toronto ought to give him up for that.
I agree with you. I don't think Fred VanVleet's worth it, but
he's averaging more than 17 points a game.
I believe he is, and he's a very, very good player.
He's a good 3-point shooter.
So when it comes to the Mavericks getting Kyrie and Markieff Morris, he's a role player. I don't think he's going to make a huge impact. But Kyrie, the problem with the Mavericks and with Luka has been they needed a 1 and a 2. They needed some sort of combo between Luka and the next guy, and that used to be Jalen Brunson. He went over to the Knicks in this offseason, and he's been phenomenal for the Knicks. And then after that, you had really no one this year. Christian Wood was maybe an option. Spencer Dinwiddie played pretty well this year, 17 points. Dorian Finney-Smith, he was it was a pretty decent 7-8 man, I would say, for them. But he didn't really have that second playmaker that he needed. Jalen Brunson was the closest thing to it. And so this allows, Luka and, now Kyrie to really perform well. And I think that's pretty important when it comes to Luka's development. And right now, Luka's at a stage in his career where he's moving off sort of the showcasing all your talents and moving into the more care about winning phase, I would say. But the problem is that Kyrie and Luka both have their main success on the ball. When they have the ball, that's when they find their success. And you know what? Maybe Luka needs to give up some of his minutes handling the ball, give it to Kyrie and let him cook a little bit.
Well, we'll see how they manage that. I think that's going to be a bit of a challenge.
But and it just went through. The Dallas Brooklyn trade is now completed. It looks like it did not go through with Toronto. I just got this now. Breaking news, I guess. It just went through. It is official. Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, the 2029 first round, and then 2 future second round picks. It is official as of right now. No third party trade. So what I just said, cancel it out. It just went through as I'm speaking. So on grades, I think I would give the Mavericks, because Kyrie is off the court. I would have to say a C+, because I think it might work out in the very beginning, but in this offseason, are they going to pay Kyrie because he's an unrestricted free agent by the end of this year? Are they going to want to pay Kyrie long term and then have to maybe deal with his off the court issues, or just him saying, I want more money, or I want 4 more years max contract, because I believe that's what he thinks he's worth. And then on the Nets side, I mean, you got off Kyrie. That's something. You get Spencer Dinwiddie, who's a pretty good player, and then Dorian Finney-Smith, who once again is a role player, and you get a first round pick and 2 second round picks. I'd give them a B for that. I mean, I'm impressed with what they got.
Yeah, I guess the wild card is if Kyrie plays well for them, right,
Yes.
and he keeps his head together, and then can they sign him, right?
Yeah.
Because then the Mavs will have given up all that, what they gave up, and not really get anything in return. Just Markieff Morris, right? Because Kyrie could go to somebody else. He's definitely going to test the market again, right?
You think he's going to push for something extreme?
No, of course. All right. He's going to do that right at the end of this year.
He very well could. I mean, that wouldn't be outside of...
I mean, it's a great opportunity for him in a way. If he can keep his head together,
yes,
and play really well, then his value will right up there, right?
Absolutely.
And then he'll have leverage against the Mavs.
Yeah.
Right?
No, I agree with that. So do you think Kyrie...
What's a max contract these days? How many years?
For a veteran max contract, I'm not too sure, actually.
So up around
it's
180, something like that?
It's a lot.
5 years, something like that?
I think it's more than 5 years, 180. It could be up there in like the 240 maybe for 5 years, something like that. I have a question, though. Do you think Kyrie and Luka can get it done and potentially, win the West? Do you think this gives them
Mavs record right now?
The Mavs currently are the 6th seed with a 28-26 record. Denver's 37-17 at the moment. So they're about 11 games out of it.
Yeah,
9 games out of it. Sorry,
I don't think there's enough time to catch them.
Really? We're a little past the halfway point. You don't think?
Yeah. Well, I think the Denver is a very good team, right?
Yes,
they're going to win a lot more games before the end of the season.
You're right.
How close is the second place team to them?
It's looking like 4.5, 5 games.
Okay, so they've got an incentive to play hard. They don't want to be caught.
Yeah.
So I could see the Mavs moving up, but I'm not sure they can get to the number 1 spot.
Even with Kyrie and Luka, you don't believe that?
Well, it takes more than just two guards to get it done, right?
No,
I mean, you got to have a big man. They're having a really strong front court guy, and I don't know who's the Mavs that don't really have that, right?
Well, it used to be Kristaps Porzingis. He used to be, and then
got rid of him.
And Luka and him just did not get along whatsoever. Right now, they're rocking with as a center Maxi Keebler and, like I said, Christian Wood. Christian Wood's a pretty good player. But like you said, they need a pretty good big man. But the funny thing is, Brooklyn's at the 4 spot. They probably will start to slip eventually because KD hasn't returned yet. And what's kind of funny about this is that the big 3 that everyone's afraid about, that Brooklyn was at the top of the East for 3 straight years, or about 3 straight years, 13-month span. Everyone has requested a trade and has been granted that, or you have the KD situation where he He didn't leave. He went back to them.
I wonder how KD feels about all this.
I mean,
Kyrie Irving asked for a trade. He's gone.
Right. Well, it's funny.
KD asked for a trade. They never got it done.
I think KD is worth so much more than Kyrie because he's a super efficient scorer. Supposedly, report was that KD was very, very surprised when Kyrie announced this trade, and even New York City Mayor Eric Adams had a little comment on Kyrie requesting a trade by saying, "I will find the team that beats us the most and send him to that team because then we'd start beating that team." So even Eric Adams get it in here, and supposedly I believe it's the owner or I'm Joe Tsai. I believe he's the owner, I'm pretty sure, or GM, whoever, an executive, Joe Tsai. Supposedly he knew that Kyrie wanted to go to the Lakers, and his one condition was he not be sent to the Lakers. And the asking price that they actually put out for the Lakers was kind of ridiculous, I guess, because the Lakers didn't want to accept it. It was, I guess, Kyrie for Russell Westbrook, Austin Reeves, Max Christie, 2 first-round picks, the 27 and 29 ones that the Lakers didn't want to get up, and pick swaps as well. So a huge trade value for Kyrie Irving, and the Lakers didn't want to do that.
Yeah, well, I would, if I had the Lakers, I wouldn't have done that.
I would agree. I mean, they didn't do it. So it's going to be very interesting. And Kyrie will go back to wearing the number 2 like he did on the Cavs. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see what Kyrie does. But even LeBron James chimed in on Twitter right after, and he tweeted, "Maybe it's me," because he tried to, sort of tell Lakers, like, "Yo, bring Kyrie over here." So maybe it's LeBron James that's the problem. At least in his eyes, he's maybe thinking that. Maybe it's him.
Yeah.
But no, I think you know what? Maybe it is him because he's the one that basically begged for Russell Westbrook to come in here, and that was an ultimate failure.
Well, it's better this year, right?
Because they moved him back to six man. But still, though, I mean, you're not...
6 man gets a lot of minutes.
Gets like 24, 25, depending on how good of a 6th man you are. For instance, like a really, really good 6 man that is on a great team may get 28, 29 minutes in a game. But,
I think when you get into the playoffs, if the 6 man's really good, he winds up playing more in the 30s.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, no, I can understand that. Sorry, I'm reading something that I may talk about in the next topic here that I'm actually kind of blown by. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Mavericks do. It's hard to say because we have to see it work. I think the offense is going to be really, really explosive because Kyrie on the court is a phenomenal basketball player. And Luka, we've seen what he's doing this year, absolutely exploding. The problem is defense. I think Kyrie's not a great defender. Luka's not a tremendous defender. So it's going to be a very high explosive offense. And then, you might see games, 132 to 118 or something like that. These ultimate high scoring games. But I think this is going to be a very interesting combo to see how is there going to be a power struggle between Kyrie and Luka. This is Luka's team. Kyrie coming in, he's the veteran on that team. He has, I guess you could say, leadership, even though I wouldn't call Kyrie a leader. So we're going to see, is there a power struggle between, veterans?
We'll see. I think the Mavs, in a way, they played it well. They can part ways at the end of the season if they want.
They could, absolutely.
They don't see that it really works out, and they don't get really deep into the playoffs, then they can just say goodbye.